Hi, I'm Ala Idrisova. Welcome to Inspiration Through Inclusivity podcast, where we spotlight thinkers, leaders, and creators shaping inclusive world not through the theory, but through bold action. Today's guest is someone who isn't just breaking the barriers in cybersecurity. She's rewriting a script for what visibility, inclusion, and voice look like in tech and beyond. Emily van Putten is cybersecurity expert, public speaker, and diversity and inclusion advocate. But perhaps most powerful, she's a woman who dares to be fully herself in an industry where authenticity is often edited out. Thank you, Emily, for joining us today. And of course, we can all look in LinkedIn and on your CV.
There's a lot that people can find online.
Yes. And I would like to ask you, can you please maybe introduce yourself if someone's who look beyond your job, who Emily is?
Yeah, I think Emily is someone who transitions not that recently, but someone who dares to be vulnerable publicly and take other people with her on her journey, because there are so much important topics in society that people not often talk about, and I think we should normalize talking about everything. And that is what drives me on the one hand, and on the other hand, by helping and supporting marginalized groups in society.
So you're a trailblazer, as I can hear.
Yeah, I am. Quite.
A risk taker.
I'm a risk taker. Yeah, it's quite. Here, it's about taking risks. It's not that easy to take them.
Yeah.
With all people looking at you, having expectations, opinions.
Yeah.
You need to be really bold to.
I agree that I think we some time ago I had also the conversation with someone, and for me I call it rebranding. There is very often that we're going through our lives because the societal norms, and then you believe that it's who you are, and it's very difficult. Like sometimes, or maybe some people never do, just to connect with yourself and again be not influenced by society.
Yeah, and we're all influenced by society. I can tell you.
One way or another. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you recently wrote, and sorry, I spy or did some homework on your LinkedIn post, and you wrote something very deep or philosophical. You wrote, sometimes you have to lose yourself before you can truly choose who you are. And I think, I really would love to start here. What did your journey to choosing yourself really looking like, and how it brought you where you are now?
Yeah, it's for me. It was. I've gone through dark periods in my life, having a depression for almost a decade, being suicidal, and that has almost ended my life back then. But for some reason, I've got additional time in this world, luckily. But some moments I noticed that societal expectations, but also my upbringing, brought me to basically living by other people's expectations. And gradually I dropped them to be more in touch with who I am. And that is the starter. Was the starter of a period that fully changed my life. While I thought it was just about my gender identity, I noticed that it has so much more impact on your identity as a whole, in your personal life, in your career, what you like, how you approach people, and your identity is your foundation between everything you're doing. So I can truly say that the things I did and liked, let's say 10 years ago, have completely shifted when I look at it now.
And thank you, Emily. Again, I don't want to spend too much, but I really thank you for being vulnerable. And I'm very happy that the dark period, if I may say, that is behind the back, and you're now like a Phoenix.
But you learn
Yeah.
something out of this period as well.
It
And
shapes you, right? Like
it shapes you, and you know the red flags
Yeah.
once some things in life
Yeah.
happen with you.
So yeah, as you mentioned, it makes your journey maybe more authentic, and again making you a role model. And I think now you are quite engaged and into tech world, right? Like and leading women movements.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share a little bit again your journey from being cybersecurity expert in corporate, how you now engage in these green roots initiatives and leading by example.
Yeah, I think it's you see a lot of we in tech. We are building solutions for everything, everyone in society, but currently, I think almost 85% of the tech people in the sector are men, and I think we need really diverse perspectives in technology, so that we can deliver better solutions for everyone and not just this small group. And these men, they're currently in the sector are building things with the best intentions, but in the end we need diverse perspectives to innovate, to make better solutions. And that's, when you look at the numbers in the Netherlands, we see that almost 52% of women are leaving the tech sector in the first 10 years of their career, compared to men that it's 17%. So it's 3 times as high. While we've got a lot of initiatives focused on attracting women to start working in tech, there is, I think, more need to retain them. Otherwise, we can keep on bringing new women that eventually half of them will leave. Yeah. So my personal aim is to focus more on retaining women in the sector by various initiatives. On one hand, by tech sessions I'm doing with Dutch Women in Tech. On a monthly basis, we connect women to focus on personal leadership, but also on tech topics. And on the other hand, I'm working on, as a result of an gala 2 months ago, I organized for 100 women in a costume.
Wow.
It was really nice, and the ambience was really great. But we noticed that there was something different, that when you have all those communities in tech, they're all focused on technical expertise. But what we heard from all the women that were attending was that they just want to connect with other women in the sector. Normally they're just this one woman in their team or in the organization, and this was the place they felt safe without being a woman, really embracing femininity, while at work you often hide parts of yourself because it can be terrifying, or people are having opinions about how you dress, how you look, how you speak, how you lead. Yeah. So the other initiatives we're about to launch is just all these bold events, not just an ordinary dinner, but a gala, a camping, and let's name it.
Yeah,
dream big. Yeah. And I think that's really important for women, connecting them.
Yeah, you mentioned as well, like, I mean, it's like immediately, it's these bold initiatives, as you say, like, rock climbing, you can go beyond and above, right? Like, no, just to speak about technology, and which is important, right?
Of course, it's important.
Excluding another, but there is also human factor besides you being
the social perspective. Yeah. We're not the people built by the knowledge we have, but we're just people with certain expertise.
Yeah. And I like that, as you mentioned, and being myself now, I'm still a little bit in the tech world, but I used to work in corporate for around 15, 20 years. And as you're saying, as a woman, and thank you for sharing numbers, I do know it's still such a big percentage of men in IT sector. But as you say, you try to blend, or maybe, being the part of group, which seems again like a social identity. This
Yeah.
series that you are matching more into the bigger and more successful group,
Yeah.
and try not to be or distance yourself from marginalized group. And then I think like this is also what's happening, as you say, maybe people cannot express themselves because they think that it's marginalized group and they want to belong or try to.
Yeah, everyone wants to belong in the end.
Yeah. No, it's a social identities, I think, a quite big topic. And for you personally, like, is it in this space of leadership and inclusivity, is it anything like what you think people avoiding to speak? There is a lot of conversation what should we do and how we do it, but is it everybody looking through the same lens? Is it some other lenses in the glasses which we need to have in order really find the solution?
Interesting question, because I think at this moment a lot of people are talking about these topics, but they're not acting on them. And I'm looking from my perspective in the tech sector, that I have got really great conversations with many people from different backgrounds and identities, and but in the end, the commercial drive is that big that there is, it's, I always call it's profit over people in the sector. So we're talking about it, but don't doing anything that is really making a difference for people. So resulting in people not feeling welcome. We're focusing on diversity. Well, I think we need to focus on first on inclusivity. I've got conversations with leadership. Oh, we are the diverse organization. We have got people with from different races, from different genders. And then my next question is, how are you going to make sure that those people are thriving, feeling welcome, being part of your organization and contributing instead of just having someone who is having a different background than the status quo, let's say.
It's like check, right? Like
it's just a check box and go.
And in the long term, that it's not.
No, you need to do something with your within your policies, and also the culture is really important, and that is the hard thing, changing culture, to allowing these people to thrive in your organization. But the other guys, they don't feel welcome, and they will leave eventually.
As I say, it's retention, right? Like that you can maybe attract the talent with your hiring policies, right? Like advertising that we are diverse, inclusive, but then when people come into organization, then maybe there is not always a great policies, as you mentioned, to promote, to grow, and to
feel really incorporated in the organization. And I have, in my previous life, I was there. My ego was bigger than the rest, and I'm feeling almost ashamed to tell that, but I think it's really important, because during my journey I have learned lessons about leadership that it's not about your opinion and having conversation just to confirm your opinion. That was who I was back then, and that we need to have people in organizations that have real honest conversations with the team members, because I think leadership is not about dictating. You need to be humble. It's about uplifting others and facilitating that those people can add value to what you are doing as an organization, and not just focus on the technical expertise, but about the human as a whole. I think that's really important, because there's a lot of focus on having all this technical expertise, and I personally believe you need to look at the people.
I think there is a lot of interesting also research being done about the dark side of leadership sometimes. That it's not always as well what the intentions, like, is it our leaders actually, they do lead, because they want the people who follow them to be successful, or there is And what is it again, as you say, successful leader? Very often in corporates, you may see that the person who worked 10 years in the company, they're promoted to the leadership position just because the years of experience. But are they have this, human capabilities or like even,
That's a really interesting one, especially in tech.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen and I speak a lot about is that, especially in tech, people, when you're good with technology, you get promoted over time, and at some point in your career, you will be responsible for getting results, making results, and that comes with people within a team or some. Yeah, you'll be leading, but you might be good with technology, but it doesn't say that you're good with people.
Exactly.
And I've noticed this myself during my career, growing as a techie, basically, and that as an organization you can just give you the responsibility for leading a team without giving you the tools and the knowledge to do that responsibility, and so I think we should look differently at leadership, and we not always give you those responsibilities just because you have been working 10 years or something like that in the sector and you have some really great technical expertise.
Interesting point what you mentioned. Say, from your opinion, and let's just assume that the definition of leadership never existed, and you need now to define the what inclusive leadership means and how and who is inclusive leaders should be in an organization. If you need to name 3 things, well, how you define it for you, like for organization, what leaders do they need?
I think it's about vulnerability. I think you as a leader need to be vulnerable, lead by example in this case, so that other people around you feel space to do so as well. So you get more honest and conversations and connections with people. And I think it's also about empathy for the people, not just listening to what they say, but feeling and having conversations with them without bias or opinions in advance of having the conversation. Sometimes it's really hard to really listen at people, but I think that really helps for closer connections, and in the end for getting out better results as a team, together. And the third one, so many great things to.
I feel like almost that, but because you mentioned, is it that they have this powerful conversation that it's like stay curious almost, is it like always this kind of why to try to, as you mentioned, make this judgment, like, oh, I know it, like when person sometimes say with a lot of experience, you think like I know it all, right? Like, and when somebody presenting something, you're like, oh yeah, okay. I know it, but then when you stay curious and maybe, just for a moment.
And the other one that is really helpful in those situations as well. I have got really often conversations with people and say, I don't dare to do something like that because I am afraid I'm making mistakes in those situations. So I just don't do anything. And I said the biggest mistake in this case is thinking you will not make any big mistakes. I think it's about making mistakes, being sensitive and open for having conversations with the people and learning from those mistakes in the future.
Exactly. And for you now, like you mentioned that you're doing a few things, right, like that in your industry. So you already been organizing gala, and I've seen a lot of fantastic reviews, and that you want to go further. But do you see any kind of roadblocks, any challenges? Is it anything that scares you at the moment, like
some moments it's really scary to start something new because you have all those limiting beliefs. Can I do this? I don't have the right people around me. But for me personally, it's about at some moment you rise above all those limiting beliefs you have. Yeah, let's do this. What can I lose? And you do. I do it for, in the end, for other people, to make the world a bit better, just to contribute from my where I can make a difference on people, because I truly believe that we need to focus more, in this case, on women. We have more marginalized groups in society, and I can't cover them all, unfortunately. I don't have the hands and time for that. Perhaps some time in the future. But really, I want to do my part, and it gives me great connections with the people, and that's what's driving me in the end.
I love it. It's beautiful. I think that this is, I mean, a lot of things in our current society, it is driven by impact. And again, we're speaking about technology, we're speaking about human factor, we're speaking about sustainability. So it's doing impact and not only be oriented in the short term, but looking more in a longer horizon. I think it's new type of leadership. I agree with you.
But it's also about investing. Because we've seen when you want to build something new and need to have investors, they're just looking at how much can I earn and when I get my money back, instead of I really want to have more investors looking at making social impact. So keeping the money where you're investing it. So for example, I'm looking at creating a new organization, and I don't want every year double-digit growth numbers, but creating a culture of in your organization, and that needs investment. So every euro you earn will need to stay within your company, not just for paying salaries, but for creating other activities, and everything you change in comparison with how other companies it are doing has some impact financially. So you need to pay it. And I think this is really hard to start something new that an investor, okay, I want to be part of this because I believe in this, instead of just earning money.
It's indeed, like, I think, like entrepreneurship in general, right? Like when you start in the new journey, it's risky, it's scary, it's taking a lot of time when you are when you're standing on your legs strong, right? Like I think maybe even 3 first years, it's still you're very vulnerable, right? And especially with social impact, it's maybe sometimes even more difficult because you don't have these hard KPIs to measure and to show investors, you know, that you're doing.
No, I think you have hard KPIs, but they're more from a cultural perspective.
But tell me your KPIs. Like if you are now start the community, right? Like, and what, like at the end of the year, what will be, how you will see that you made an impact? What will give you this feeling that I made it?
I think it's about having the conversations, and also on paper, to determine how happy people are in your organization, to listen to them what they need, because I can't decide for you what you need in the end. So, and I also really like rotating leadership, that everyone feels being part of the organization, instead of just this employee earning some money that goes to an investor. And there are various ways, and I am reading a lot of research from Scandinavian countries, and they have incorporated some great plans within how they are, how employeeship is. And sometimes they're not that big, but just this ordinary 10-hour coffee moment with your colleagues for 15 minutes without any, in my sector, technical stuff with you, and we're not gonna talk about work. And you see that these tiny moments have really impact on people, but also deciding that we don't book meetings before 9 o'clock and in the morning or after 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because these days we have great technical capabilities, but it's also a pitfall for being available 24/7. I mean, sometimes I think it's the responsibility of the employer to dictate what we should and shouldn't do with this technology to protect the employers.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think burnouts are an incalculated risk without anyone ever saying that, of course.
Yeah, I think at least how I understood, and it's indeed this balance, and I feel it myself, that with all technology, with any AI tools that we are using now, and of course now meetings, we're doing it via Zoom, we don't need to like now, and I'm very grateful that we can still keep seeing each other, but everything happened digital. So that it's scary sometimes that we are doing it conscious. Do we need to have this conversation because we're losing this, as you say, element of human touch and just like having the coffee and
brings you great flexibility because you can work at evenings, but once you say let's say I'm working every evening, I send a message to another one, but if his phone is not being put on silent or we have certain restrictions in place, that employer might think that I'm asking something from him or her and gonna stop working at the moment that this employee shouldn't enjoy free time.
I remember back then, many years ago, that in Germany, in certain companies, they do have already that they block in your actually computer. You cannot work on it after 8 hours. If you work 10 hours, then you must take next day off. So that was very strict, and sometimes, with IT implementations.
Some regulations.
But then people come in, like from another countries, we're like, okay, let's go live, let's work weekends or let's do more hours. They say, we can do more hours, but then our computer will be blocked. We cannot work, and it's for some, even for Netherlands. I remember, like, for us it was not clear.
No.
But it was in Germany, like they've been very strict, and I think like for us it was very frustrating. But as you say, they protected their employees. It was very, very clear policies, and even they had the pressure, peer pressure, or pressure from superior.
A lot of policies, but in the end, people feel this pressure because they want to be part of your organization. They want to get this promotion sometime, and they're doing sometimes more than you can ask from them from a realistic perspective.
So, but then again, so your now biggest bottleneck or blocker now, like say when I can be invited for one of your first event?
That's a great question. No, there are two initiatives running. The one is it's just the community focused on making social impact and just bold signature events that people are talking about. That's one I want to do. And next Tuesday, but perhaps this is when this recording is live. It has already happened. We're gonna get to the notary to start the foundation.
Oh wow!
And we're gonna publishing roles for people helping me and my the other partner I start the gala with. It's Megan Weidema. I'm working really closely with her for just drawing the foundation at this moment, and quite quick after that gather people around us because we can have great ideas, but I don't have the expertise for building websites, social media management, event creation, all of them. Just with two people, that doesn't work. So we want to have people around us. And we had this idea of creating a fireside camping with the night, but all places in the Netherlands are already booked, and in October it becomes quite cold and rainy, so perhaps we will postpone it to next summer. So currently there is something going to happen from an event perspective this year, but we're just building the the foundation at this moment. So I don't know what and when exactly.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, I think that I will see next Tuesday some pictures in social media that you're
Absolutely, the gala
in
is
a
already
notary,
booked.
like that you signed in the contract, and then and is it still secret what the name of foundation? Or
No, it's not secret. It's She Unfolds.
She Unfolds.
Yeah.
Is it the story behind the name?
Not a real specific story. No, it sounded right with the purpose we are having, and
Okay.
yeah, I think so. Not a real story. It's about this is really going to give us some energy and ways of promoting it as well.
Yeah, thank you. I think I have a last question maybe to you, Emily. We all have role models, like in our life, on very inspirational people. Can you name maybe one person who you think we need to talk with, or can?
That's an interesting question because I thought about that, and sometimes it's that person that you know for a very long time, but it's not 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I had a conversation during my search for a job I'm currently in. Which was Lotte de Bruin. She's the current CEO of Strict, is an IT organization. And for me, it was not an ordinary conversation I had, like I have so many times with other people in an organization. And she was really passionate about DEI and using data for, she was really doing great stuff in the organization. It was really inspiring. And unfortunately, there is no place for me currently in the organization, but I think she's a really great person to talk about the topics we care about.
Thank you, Emily, for being here today. Your presence, your voice, and your vision are very energetic. You remind us that the leadership isn't about perfection. It's about choosing to show up fully, especially when it's not easy. If someone listening today is struggling to be seen or heard, I hope your story reminds them that you don't have to shrink to belong, and sometimes the bravest thing is simply being yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Emily, very much. Great that you stay with us till the end. If you enjoyed our conversations, please subscribe. And I hope that you get enough inspirations and learnings to reflect over the weekend.